Hello and welcome, everyone, to Arcturian Philosophy. Greetings. Now, I think what we shall talk about today is the very nature of what has transpired. That is something that my associate really wants to talk about. Okay, that's Cryon kind of trying to talk there. Um, Talking about once more, well, what appears to have transpired. What appears to have transpired is that there was a global agenda to um, set off some sort of nuclear weapon in the ocean, in the Atlantic, somewhere around New York or Philadelphia, was what the guy said when they called me up. Um, and that I played some sort of major role in stopping this, ironically, just by swinging an iPod in the prison, which was at John Muir Medical, Concord, California, it was a cover. The Behavioral Health Center is not really a behavioral health center. It is actually a type of prison where they bring in reptilians who are misbehaving somehow or trying to commit suicide, or like possessed humans who are trying to commit suicide to try and get them to be under control, or a human like me who was refusing the whole thing. And every single human like that, they had a particular bed that they would have them sleep in and everything. I found a message written on there that said, "Fuck you all," at the bed where I was. And I checked around and I realized that specifically where I was sleeping was designed that way. And eventually I began to see an energy field around the bed, and I realized, okay, this is why they keep on wanting to keep me confined into the bed. That's why they keep getting freaked out every time I get out of bed, or every time I leave the room, or every time I try and walk around. Kryon would tell me, "Krista, moving target. Think moving target. If you're a moving target, you're harder to hit. Think about someone being a sniper trying to shoot you. This is what's going on." I would actually experience something else going on in an overlaying dimension. So think about it, where you're sitting, there are other dimensions all over the place in that same space. So I would actually hear a car driving, which was a joke because outside is a car that belongs to somebody with blue blinking eyes, like gray style and everything, and it's a big macho like pickup truck. And I could see in my mind that it was that car, because and also I remembered the sound of the engine revving, and it would almost be like driving, like running me over or something in the bed. And Cryon would say, "Just, you're fine, Krista. Just that's look at what's happening right here." He would say, like, the grounding exercises. "See, what do you see here? What's going on here? All right, that's not happening. This, no, you're not being run over or anything." But for the most part, I could not really perceive much of it, but I would hear it. Or I would hear people in the bathroom breaking something, like snapping a pencil or a twig, and you could tell that they were trying to, like, imagine that it was my bone and snapping it. And I could see that, but he would say, "Okay, Krista, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of that Teals 101 energy video and put your hands like this. Okay, I want you to chase the pain," the idea of chasing the pain. You don't have to, don't think about which way the energy's supposed to go or whatnot, even though you don't know any of that. Just do whatever instinctively comes to you. You're gonna survive. And I was apparently the first person who's ever survived. In my type of position, a human who had totally said, "No, I'm not going along with the program. I'm not doing any of this," who had been brought in there to be slowly murdered. Because, see, they feed off of the fearful energy. So that's why they kill people slowly. If they did it quickly, they wouldn't get as much food, to put it bluntly. So the idea is to do it slowly to scare the crap out of you so that you can be fed off of in an energetic fashion. And that was the other thing Cronin would say, make it hard for them to eat. If you're not scared of what's going on, then, like, if you're not even scared of death, then that makes it very hard for them to eat. That makes it hard for them to do anything if they can't feed off of you. Um, so what happened what happens then? So I'm there for 17 days, and oh my gosh, that was hard. Um, and that was where I met Michael, the good reptilian, and also another person who I ended up finding again after the police here say, okay, we've got enough to 5150 her, because I was getting mad at a UPS guy who was sitting there watching me. Just so you know, all of the mail carriers are infiltrated by what you call the Illuminati, the New World Order, the whatever, reptilians, whoever you want to call it. It's all infiltrated. Humans that are being controlled, whatever you would like to call it. So your mailman is not exactly your friend. He's generally spying on you if you're not going along with the program. And people who don't go along with the program at this point know that the mail is completely infiltrated. Think about it. Our mail system is government run, and then the other mail systems, they would all slowly be infiltrated anyway, because if you think about this, it's a way of communication, and so what they're trying to do is monopolize the communication. If they have control over you talking to other people, sending them a letter, getting them goods, um, a way to buy and sell, or a way to create an economy, whether we call it buying and selling or rather bartering. Even if we're bartering, you got to use the mail system to do it. That screws everything up if the whole mail system is infiltrated. Um, so that's their idea, part of screwing everything up with infiltrating the mail systems. Um, but at any rate, I managed to basically, like the, yeah, again, Katy Perry saved my life because I heard the song Firework on the radio once, and from there I was like, oh my gosh, okay, I know what to do. I know what to do because I could see the music video in my mind. And yes, Katy Perry, you saved my life. Um, and then along with any other artist, I only had stuff from popular culture to hear because that was what would be on the radio. And I would realize, wait, this artist is talking about this. They would talk about broken bones all the time. They would talk like the guy, I'm radioactive. I knew that they were using some sort of strange radioactive material, putting it in the mail, um, trying to expose me to some sort of radioactivity. But I couldn't figure out what exactly it was. Some sort of something to do with solar energy. I already knew that it had to do with many different sciences that were being collaborated, that I was being exposed to in different chemical weapons. Also, well, biological warfare. Being exposed to flesh-eating bacteria however many times. Being given it however many times. They were trying to make me barren so that I couldn't have a child. Hint, hint, you failed. Um, trying to make me barren so that I couldn't conceive. Because of what I was told when I went to one reptilian healer on the Ashtar command, that they were asking me, would you like to have a hybrid child? You fit the profile for it. If you would like, we'll arrange for you to have a hybrid child. And at first I said no, like, no way. What are you talking about? This sounds crazy. You people sound crazy. I mean, I don't even know what this is. I just know that you told me stop in front of the store and talk to this guy, but I don't even know if I believe what's going on here. And, well, that leads me into what's going on now. When I was at that, they told me go back to the healer, and see, the healer had been making his business card fly around my apartment, and I knew it was him doing it. And I asked, should I go back to that guy or not? Because I had a feeling, go back to him. But I kept thinking, it's a trap. It's a trap. And finally they said, well, yeah, it's a trap, but we do need you to go back to the guy. We do need you to walk into the trap, okay? Just go with it. All right, you'll be okay. Just go with it. And so I end up going on this grueling ride. Everyone on the BART train here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We have something called BART, Bay Area Rapid Transit. So on the subway train, I'm standing there, and you've got there were a billion people that had obviously been zapped in the head, mostly of Asian descent. I noticed that were doing this. Then remember that was done to me, but now I almost feel like that asshole Yael guy in the freaking compound in that prison in Jamir, who said, "Oh, I don't need to use my hands, but I'm not a bitch like that anymore. I'm not going to say that, anymore." But there were, a bunch of people doing this, and people, people with all the sunglasses. They will wear sunglasses because they rely on your eyes in order to do their spells or in order to place an intention, and it's like they reflect the intention off some sort of reflective surface. That's why those of us who are in the light, we don't need their props and their things. We don't need their inventions to do these different things, because we do it with our own light. We're aligned with the universal light and truth. So we don't need the mirrors and all of that. I realized, I got a book on hexes and stuff, but then when I started reading it and I realized, oh, to do this stuff, you have to be enraged and hateful and angry to do this. I don't want to do that. There's no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't, that's not going to exist where I exist. And I realized, well, for the most part, no, I'm not going to do that. And that was actually when Michael, at one point, he said to me, I asked him while I was imprisoned, why is it that, because he would come around with me sometimes when I would get frightened and say, no, I'm gonna fight, I'm fighting for you, don't worry. And I would ask him, why is it that the other angels fight with swords that are fire, and you have one that is a double-edged sword that's a blade? And he said it has to do with the fact that it's a different element. And also, he showed me the reflection, kind of like if you, the poster for A Clockwork Orange, which is Program Central. He showed me like the sword like this, and the reflection between his eye and the sword, and he said it's like this. So you see the reflection of my eye, and I said, oh. Yeah, so you can do that, and he said it's partly has to do with that, but you need an extreme degree of discipline and control to use any darkness, any dark art like that, like what you're seeing, and you have to be very ascended in order to do any of that, and you should just stay away from doing it. Notice how it's being conducted in order to protect yourself and defend yourself for now. Notice how notice how they're doing different things. Notice what stops them from doing different things. Notice what allows them to do certain things. Figure out the rules that they're operating by, or at least some of it, and for now leave the rest for me. And so I said, all right. That sounds good to me. Now it appears with the Ashtar command, because I'm completely realigned with them, because we know that whenever this body dies, it's almost like I'll wake up on the ship or something. It's kind of like that, because that has been so finally firmly decided, because I know which side I'm on, apparently, I'm going to have a very long and profitable existence on this planet, along and along and well, I mean, it's not important is not the right word. Not important existence, but one that will go down in history. Like, one thing that I kept getting told on the balcony was that this is going to go down in history, Krista. You're going to be remembered. This is going to be written that someone stood up, like David and Goliath. That there was a Goliath there, and little David got up and said, "Nope, Goliath, I'm not afraid of you." And actually, also like Moses. Oh, and just so you guys know, the story of Moses freeing the Jews and parting the Red Sea. The sea really was made of blood. The sea, because it appears to have been Satan talking to Moses. When you can read the Bible now, like I can, and you can see who appears to be the one channeling down the information, it really sounds like it's whatever god that you would call the devil or Satan, the fallen angel one, talking to Moses, saying, "Hey, here we're gonna free the Jews," but which is bizarre. I know it sounds bizarre, but I mean, would God talk from a burning bush? Because that's the fire thing. What I've noticed with the light and love source, it doesn't talk through fire. It's like fire is not associated with it for some reason there. So I don't know what was going on with the whole Jews being um, freed that way, and also much of the this is also Star Gods talks about this, but not as overtly as I will. I mean, they would outright make fun of me for reading the Old Testament, and they would say, "Oh, guess who wrote that?" It was basically Satan or Reptilian generated the Old Testament, most of it, except for, say, Isaiah is predicting the birth of Christ. You can see as you're reading the Old Testament that the Old Testament is like some people are fighting for who gets the information through, as if you see a person down there and entities kind of fighting their way through, trying to get their signal down to the person so that the person will write this thing or that thing. Or you can see where it looks like someone just randomly altered it, or something. It's difficult to read. It's really bizarre now for me to interpret. Now it's very hard to interpret, but I can't interpret it. But I can. Which when they realized, oh, she's interpreting that, she can actually understand who's saying what in there. We're screwed, is what they thought when I finally realized. Okay, so I understand that Satan is right. That Satan is saying this. Okay, well, let me figure it out then. But other fun fact: when they were walking through the Red Sea, when the sea parted for Moses and the Jews, it actually was like a big thing that parted, right, like as if the ocean parted right in front of you, and they walked through. And Cryon said to me, "Krista, it's gonna be like this, literally like this, like just parts open, and you guys are gonna walk through." Or the other example that he would give to me is, see where you have a memory of the time where Paul is in prison, and the angel just comes down and says, "Oh, here, walk out the door." That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like, bam, to see everything, everybody, everything's fine. You're just gonna walk out. That's what's gonna happen now. And he says, we have all of you, all of us down here, all of the ground agents, to thank for it. I was watching something by Mary Rodwell of Australia, and she was saying that she talked to some girl in Europe, someone who would obviously be quite younger than me, but a girl who would say she was, an undercover agent. And when I heard her say that, my head just turned, and I thought, huh, that's what I am. Except I was the most convincing undercover agent you could be. Because apparently the way I engineered things was to be completely unaware that I was anything different from a normal human, and to just let the chess game then take its course from the first move, like in the Illuminist Chronicles. So, from making your first move and then having everything else play out, making one change. But there were lots of different things. So, the idea was, okay, we're gonna get a person onto the Earth, and we don't invade places. We don't believe in that. So, if we're going to actually do anything to help this planet, we have to wipe your memory. Or basically, I decided up there. The way that it works is they project forth their energy, which I know doesn't make sense to another human, but it's a concept of projecting forth energy from your heart chakra. It seems like from the heart, or in that area. And that soul stream being sent down to Earth. But if you're born and you know that you're an alien, and you know that you're not a native from this planet, and you try to tell the people, hey, you're blowing up your planet, the other people can turn around and say to you, but you're not from here, it's not even your business, go away. But see, the way that we decided to do it, because so many people were just screaming, we decided, okay, well, how about we send some people down there, and they'll have no idea that aliens even exist. They'll become normal humans. And then, as we start trying to ask the people down there, you're blowing up your planet, would you like to take another course? Would you like to change, please? Well, as we ask everybody, we'll see if they decide to change and align themselves with us, if they decide that they want to remember who they are, if they decide that they want to become a part of the greater picture of the cosmos, rather than thinking about what they're going to have for dinner or something, focusing on a fearful mentality, like little mice or hamsters or something, then become the greater beings that they actually are. And then also, at the same time, that produces a lot of universal expansion. So it's like a win-win, is the idea. So I was one of the humans. Part of the reason I have so much power is because I identify as human. They were telling me that because you are someone that will say, yes, I'm human. I'm human. I was born as a human. I didn't know anything about this. I grew up. I didn't know why anybody was trying to kill. I didn't know why people were trying to hurt me or why people hated me. I didn't know. I didn't do anything wrong, and so now I'm grown up. I'm getting this memory back, and so the reason that you all were trying to do things to me from birth as an innocent little baby is because I came here to help you. No, well, I identify myself as an Earthling. I was born on this planet, without any knowledge of being from anywhere else, and so now that I know I came from somewhere else, because I know that this is my home, I'm going to align with these forces to help make my home a better place. People could say, well, go back to where you belong. Well, where I belong is right here. Hello? Hello? I grew up here, and that's how it is. I grew up here, and my own town is not going to act like, screw over everybody. No. No. And And so the same thing with some people who were sent into places like Utah. Utah is a big one right now for all you people that have to deal with being in Utah. It wasn't over here. It was not as bad. It was similar, sort of, but not nearly as extreme. Not nearly as extreme. But now the whole place is just overrun by lots of different spirits and lots of different, shape-shifting humans, the people who aren't really real anymore. That's what the place is overrun by. Or if they are real, they are being controlled. People will walk around with their cell phone. They won't walk around without their cell phone. They'll be standing there looking at me and typing things in, then look at me again, type more in, follow me around, and finally if they notice that I recognize a certain person that's been following me, especially if it's a kid, and a kid realizes that I recognize them, who have been following me, they'll get kind of scared and kind of look away or try and walk in a different direction. I'll be like, "Hello, I know that you're following me." And so now it's really hard for the town to actually act as if they're doing anything other than this. That's San Ramon, California, Danville, Dublin. I bet Dublin's probably not quite as bad, depending. San Francisco. In San Francisco, I know that they had everything synchronized for when I was there. So I'm willing to bet, just need to find the right people in San Francisco, because obviously if I'm here in San Ramon, still alive, there are people in San Francisco who are still alive through this stuff. Even though it is very much like an episode of The Walking Dead, like that first episode of The Walking Dead where Rick is in the hospital, like I was in the, quote, hospital, escapes from the hospital with a bunch of zombies trying to kill him, and then finds his entire town, overrun by these zombie things, and has to attempt to find another real human being. So I know that the real human beings are out there. It'll just it might just take some time to find them. And also, as Cryon says, and you guys are the ETs, like those of us especially that are still alive in the same capacity that we pretty much were when all this, attacking started with the New World Order stuff. Those of you who are still alive on the planet, and consider yourself human, are those that have some kind of enhanced genetic structure. We had something that allowed us to hold out when everybody else ended up dying or being beaten into submission. We had something else that helped us out, whether it be a soul stream, or whether it be some sort of genetic kind of enhancement that activated. But that is why, some of us have survived a little bit differently than others. Like for me, I'm partly aboard a craft known as the Ashtar Command. Now, I don't consciously think about any of it really, and I do that on purpose because my thoughts are so monitored. I know that there is bugging of some type inside of my house. So, for example, when I talk out loud, I know I have to be pretty careful about what I say, but also I know that when I'm thinking, that they're either telepaths that are assigned to watch me, or attempt to determine what I'm thinking or what I'm doing to try and watch me. But I get told, don't worry about that. It'll end up just like Lee said at one point. It'll end up taking care of itself in the one channeling. This is somehow gonna take care of itself, and you're going to see the evidence of it. You're going to see people realizing that that they made, well, the wrong decision. If they know they made the wrong decision, they're going to start seeing that there's a way out. And with all this, also, it's going to be the children that make a huge difference. So that's why, like with Mary Rodwell talking to the young girl, that's why so many of the children are aware now, or so aware of having what kind of situation that we're dealing with. But Cryon said she says part of the reason I'm choosing this one is because she says everything. In the place that you're going to, in a telepathic society, there are no secrets. And why would you want to have any? He says it like that. He says, why would you want to have any at all? The idea of separateness, of having things that are separate, is what keeps propagating the toxic society that you're in. So the idea is that our perception of the separateness, of, say, hoarding something to ourselves, of hoarding wealth to ourselves, and perceiving ourselves as something that's a separate entity, thinking along the lines of blood and royalty, that we're all royal. He says she understands this idea. That's the other reason that I guess he hangs out around me, or helps me out a lot. It is not blood, that which is of the flesh, that is corporeal, that makes one royal or holy, or king or queen, or prince or princess. It is that of state of mind, he says. It's that of the state of mind. And this is one thing that I also got told at the healer person, the healer reptilian guy, which was, because of what's going on in your area, like, because it's been made into, like, martial law in your area, we're gonna name you the queen of your area. The way that this works, you're going to be kind of the queen of your area, and you're going to be subtly dictating what occurs in the area in that kind of capacity, and you're going to be finding other people that are like that. This is why we've this is why we've talked to you like this, and this is why people have made comments about, quote, who you are, or whatever, about, oh, it's her, or the different comments that they would make to me on the other dimension, when I was lost on the other darn dimension, right in this area, right, literally almost where I'm sitting, but outside, and on the overlaying dimension of this area. The kids were actually saying, "Oh, mommy, she hasn't been here for a long time," like, different things like that about who I was, or something, and they'd call me Mary, in the like, reptilian prison, like, they'd call me Mary, and I'd be like, okay, I know you guys mean, like, Mary in, like, the Bible. I know you mean something like that, but I don't know what Mary you're talking about. I got no idea. I do not know what the heck you mean. But there's something very interesting to do with that. So I would get told, you don't remember any of this. It's for your protection that you don't remember any of this. But yeah, there's something about who you were in the past that's important, and also something about a painter too. They kept trying to say something about a painter, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know what painter did. Was I some famous painter? I don't know. So that, like stuff like that too. Now, while I was imprisoned, I did actually draw myself basically wearing this kind of outfit here, and I wasn't even thinking about it at all. You can actually see it. I drew Princess Andromeda, though. In oil pastels. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I just knew that I was drawing something. I knew that's Moldavite and Herkimer. Herkimer diamond, like a kind of headpiece, and something hanging from it. Like, see this? And I forgot I even owned this, and I was drawing that hanging from her head. So we have the prison artwork, and I drew even the way it's lined at the top and all of that. And I wasn't even thinking that I owned something that looks just like it. I didn't think of that. I didn't realize that at all. And so it was after getting back. Also, well, I guess she doesn't have ears, but I realized I also have earrings that go with it and everything. So it's almost like Star Wars, to like Queen Amidala or whatever, to be the interesting queen of this Silicon Valley area, or if there's anybody else, hello, pops up on the radar, hello, that would be appreciated, hello. As well as also my you can go to my website, www.infinitelightlove.org, and then also there's a link on there to my Facebook, or you can just look that up, Krista Hauer, and Krista's Krista. Cryon says, see, Krista, because you're changing the rules of everything, you're making a name into a beautiful, honorable thing that should be told. That is how you can't be affected anymore like this, you see. So I'd say, okay, Cryon, that sounds good. Or also, it seems like past a certain point, if you're so far over to the light, it shines so brightly that it shines away a bunch of the darkness. And so, in this fashion, we have the ability to outshine the darkness. Crown said it's kind of going to be like that. It's going to be, I remember in one of the last channelings with Lee saying, there's never been a time when so much has rested on so few. But we all of us keep on getting told it's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. Lightworker, one who stands in the light. Lightworker, it's going to work. You've already made it work. And they're going to be treaties. They're going to be alliances. You guys are gonna figure this out without blowing each other up, without ritual satanic abuse. The children are being born without programs, with neural circuitry able to disable the program, apparently I was born with, but it was inactive. Apparently I was born with it all, but completely inactive. I don't know if other people were born with this or not, or what, but apparently the idea was for the circuitry to activate if I came under the kind of duress that everyone was subject to, which caused them to like kneel before, quote, Satan, or the thought form of Satan, or become reptilian possessed, or whatever you want to call it. And then under that type of duress, I had specific hardware designed to come on to protect me, to bring me through that, and otherwise help eliminate the various problems. Like I'm quite shocked that I'm actually healthy, for example, and also learning to drink the raw meal. The Garden of Life raw meal is learning to drink that kind of sucks, but I have to learn to drink it. Everyone says you just do it, just do it, and you'll thank us later. Just do it. Yeah, we know it's that brand too, but it's what you've got right now. Just do it. You have to supply your body with the things that it's going to require for the transmutative process. Even though everything that we really need is inside, the other stuff is just external props, because we live in a mirror holographic reality. We actually have all of this power, you could say, almost swirling or welling up inside of us. But if you're from the 80s generation like me and you need some help and some props, then those serve as good ones to help trigger your body into doing what it ought to be doing, like, for example, the Ascension diet. Now, when I was imprisoned, I wasn't able to do any of that stuff. I had to rely on myself mostly, and I was being forced to take a full schizophrenic dose of Zyprexa. 30 milligrams of Zyprexa I was being forced to take. And I still had to navigate around all of this, and I was able to. I was at first, the Zyprexa was causing me liver failure, and somehow Cryon said to me, Krista, you know how you have this reptilian part of your DNA? You feel that, and that's what they're trying to stimulate? And I said, yeah. He said, I want you to think of that, and think of just digesting the Zyprexa the way that it's possible to make it harmless to your body or make it tolerable. So I want you to focus on that, and focus on that reptilian nature of being able to digest all these different things and filter out the toxins. And so I thought, oh, okay, and so I focused on that, and sure enough, the pain began to stop, and I ended up telling the guy, oh, maybe that was just in my head that it was causing, hepatic problems with the hepatic metabolism, which means liver metabolism. Maybe the hepatic metabolism was just in my head, And Zyprexa is known to be very, very harsh on the liver. It's known among doctors to be very harsh on the liver. And I ended up telling the guy, oh, maybe that was just in my head. I think it's just fine. And so it was because Cryon said, switch this part of your DNA on. Go back into this past life and take this attribute. Make it yours there. That's what Book 12 is all about. Mining, the concept of mining the Akash, going back into a past life. That was where it was important to figure out just which Mary were they talking about that I was. Which Mary was I? I believe I figured out which Mary they were talking about, but I'm not going to say. But at least partially figuring out the idea began to help me as I began to take traits from the individual and overlay them with myself. Specifically, I'll just say with this Mary, they were very smart. And so I know that doesn't really give anybody any information from the Bible. But whoever this Mary was a smart Mary. That apparently nobody really knew, or in the Gospels or wherever doesn't talk about, or in the Old Testament, the Marys that are discussed. You don't necessarily hear about them being very smart, but apparently this Mary was very, very smart. And so getting told, okay, you figured that out. Take that trait of what she knew and overlay it here. Okay, we've identified he said to me, you've identified that you were a female on Lemuria. You were a female in Lemuria, which is funny. There's one channeling where Leah's saying, if you're listening to this and you're a woman, basically, you were a female in Lemuria. And what are the odds of that? Because you knew and you're doing it on purpose. And so I said, oh, really? I already figured out that I was some sort of female healer on the Lemuria. I don't know who, I don't know what her name is or anything, and she looks sort of Hawaiian. but that's about it. I think that's all I seem to know. But he would say, focus on that and take what traits do you feel? You feel that she was a healer. Okay, she knows how to heal. Apparently I know how to do that because I keep on doing it to my own body. As people say, oh, well, don't heal others until you heal yourself. Well, I'm having to do it constantly from constantly being attacked. So I think that's enough. That's enough of healing myself. I think that pretty much counts. After all, that pretty much counts. No, I do not have to apologize for being born on a planet with no memory, and then being purposefully followed my entire life, like the Truman Show, and then programmed into doing certain things, having to break the program, and then people having to ask me, how or why is it that you can say that you are like the queen of this area? No. Just like what I said in the deprogramming video again. What was your name again? If you're still trying to break out of the program, just no. Oh, where do you live? No. Oh, go this way. No. Do this. No. Just say no. The first thing is to just start breaking everything and say no. But after that, Cryon says, stop yelling and saying no, and then start, you see, loving the people who've tried to murder you. So, that seems to be our Cryon advice for today. And I think we will continue on in this way, paving a new road for a better future. And I have to figure out what kind of book to write about it. Now, see, the idea is, get me to write some book, then kill me off, and then make a bunch of money off the book. Which I say no. To which I say, no. Will to power. No. So, from knowing about the law of attraction from a last life to knowing about it in this life, and then predicting there's going to be an Übermensch, because an alien told me so, that I don't think I knew it was an alien back then, to now coming into a form and getting to evolve into the Übermensch that I predicted, getting to evolve into the Übermensch that I actually predicted was going to happen. Now that's pretty cool. I suppose I was born a little bit advanced. I was born more advanced than other humans. But I didn't have any of the capabilities that the children are talking about now. Um, or scanning things with their palm, or understanding energy points, or having any interest in the extraterrestrial, or anything like that. I had no interest in it. When people would say it, I would think, oh, I maybe, I don't think so though. I wouldn't really, I wouldn't, I would be interested in the subject, but I would not really think of it as real. It was as if I'd done something up there to myself to purposefully protect me, to cause me to have no interest in things like Dune or Star Wars or Star Trek or anything like that, so that I would not be followed as much. So since I would go away from those subjects and think, oh, that doesn't make any sense, it would give me more of a cover. It would give me more of a cover to those to those that were watching, which I had no idea were watching, which was also the perfect cover. One of the best ways to be an undercover, not know that you're one, huh? Um, but I think what that child, that innocent child, did not deserve anything that was done to it. That child was completely innocent. Probably why would I know that I cried or was colicky a lot. And now when I think about it, I hear children are colicky when they have downloads. Um, and I think, oh, perhaps was that what was happening to me? I don't know. Um, but whatever happened in the middle of it, there were so many things being influenced to try and control me and my brother. We were born unwittingly into some kind of sadism, at least with our father. We were born with some kind of sadism going on. But the Masonic line went through my mother, who was born with the humped back and everything, and who would ingrain into us that she wanted a child that was blue-eyed. She wanted grandchildren that were blue-eyed, and that she was angry that we were not blonde like she was. And I would say to her, well, if you mate with a person with black hair, you're not going to get children that are blonde if you're blonde. So I would say that to her, like, did you miss the obvious? Um, you can't complain that you don't have blonde-haired children when you did it with a black-haired guy, okay? Um, but something very sinister was happening in my family, and how deep the rabbit hole goes, I do not know. But I know that it's everyone. It's been my grandfather, everyone on the male side, that's been trying to help me, not the female side so much. So going up from my mother, there's been my grandmother of some help, but see, going up her bloodline, that's where you get to the Masons that were doing all this stuff. The 32nd degree Masons. Jonathan Jefferson Jones, whoever this guy was, and everyone talks about this guy like he was some kind of god in the family. But whatever was important with this guy, I don't really know. But I know that everyone thinks of the line coming off from him, and then for me that ends up going through the female line. Um, Now, when reptilians possess people, they tend to do it as a male-female sort of thing. So whoever possessed my father, likely to be some sort of female reptilian, if that's what he's done now. Now they will do it other ways, like male male or female female sometimes, like Beyonce and I Am Sasha Fierce. Yeah, that's what that is. All the stuff that you hear about that with Beyonce, and when she walks on stage, Sasha Fierce takes over. That's what that is, a reptilian psychic type consciousness, um, that performs for her. Um, and so, to what degree this was following the female line, I do know that my mother sought out my father and attempted to seduce him, but then what happened was he began to slowly change into this warped monster. According to her, he was not always a psychopath. And see, this appears to resemble what a person looks like when they are transforming into someone that's possessed by a reptilian consciousness. What exactly happened with my father, I don't know, but it's like some sort of warped combination between the gray mastermind, master of the dark arts Darth Vader thing, and a combination of the sick, twisted, have sex with anybody, animalistic consciousness of the reptilians. So it's almost like, what? You don't. It's like you don't know one from one thing from the other there. Or like Bob Marley saying, "I can't tell the woman from the man. They are dressed in the same pollution. Their mind is confused with confusion. So to their problems seems there's never no solution." And they go through extreme programming, at least the reptilians. And that's what he's singing about, the midnight ravers. Please don't let me down. The end of the song he says, I'm coming, I got too much problem. Because he experienced a possession attempt. And at first, ends up going along with it like most artists, but then breaks out or is attacked, but loses at first, but breaks out. And that was also, like John Lennon, that was why Bob Marley died of cancer. But I remember seeing a long time ago an article in one of the cannabis magazines about the conspiracy behind how it was actually a super engineered type of virus that would induce cancer. And so now when I think of that, I think, oh, a quantum virus. Yeah, that was what they were trying to do to me. It just makes sense. But see, back then we're talking about what, the 80s and 70s and 80s, and this was stuff that we weren't equipped for back then. But we had those leaders to help us along the way. We had John Lennon, we had Bob Marley, we have all of these people who were assassinated for their cause, but they didn't care. Also, Peter Tosh, another one who was assassinated, where it was robbers came in and shot him, and then they didn't steal anything. So you can call that a robbery if you want. I call that some people broke in and shot him. Like, yeah, he got assassinated. And also, he changes around quite a few things in his music, with Get Up, Stand Up, and such. We're sick, and also he's the one singing, "We're sick and tired of this game of technology, humbly asking Jesus for his mercy. We know when we understand that Almighty God is a living man. You can fool some people sometimes, but you can't fool all the people all the time. So now we see the light. We're going to stand up for our rights." So it is a birthright that we are able to live in peace on this planet. It is our birthright, particularly for those of us who were born on the planet and came to the planet with no knowledge of being from some other planet. So, because this is my planet, it is anchored such that it will have a frequency of light, love, and peace. So, at least in this area, it is such. But Cryon says, because of the way that you are such a strong earth energy, it's like the concept of an anchor dropped from the ship. You're an anchor firmly there, and because of your consciousness grid aligning itself with that of the earth, of Gaia, because I'm saying, I'm from this place, god damn it, I'm from this place, and the earth says, oh, you align yourself with me, Okay, you know about the place called Arcturus. You know about the Ashtar command, but you are here with me the Earth. And so you agree with me the Earth about what we're doing, and what we're doing is making everything such that there are no wars. We're making everything such that there will slowly but surely be peace and not people trying to assassinate you